episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody. I am joined alongside the missing, the found, London Beth. He is back today with some pretty big news. Happy Wednesday. It's week 3 of the NFL season, and our Chicago Bears are taking on the Cleveland Browns at the Dog Pound in Cleveland, Ohio this Sunday at 12 o'clock Central Time. So much news and things that we want to get on both sides of the football in this upcoming game. But before we get into it, London has some exciting news for our viewers, and it will explain his recent absence and possible outlandish takes he's had over the last couple of weeks. London, what do you got to tell everybody?
So viewers, everybody, thank you so much for giving me the time. I've been reading your comments on YouTube. I know, you guys have been missing me, ripping on Nagy, and, him and I did not take a vacation together per popular belief. But I do want to introduce the brand new Chicago Bear fan and also diehard Justin Fields enthusiast, and she doesn't even know it. And the reason why I've been so absent is because we have a brand new Chicago Bears fan, Tivia Marie. She was born August 26th, everybody. So, like I said, if you're a father out there, the sleep deprived of a newborn baby. And so that might have been my outlandish takes for a little bit there. But all of our viewers, we love you guys. You guys are like family to us. So I just wanted to introduce her really quick, but she's going to go back to sleep. Okay.
Bye, Welcome to the most difficult fan base in all of sports. Yeah. Yes. London shot me the text and I was like, I look at my phone and I took like a double take and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it was a surprise to me too. So she's beautiful. She's happy. She's healthy. Her and mom are doing very well. Happy to see that. So welcome to the Bears family.
Yeah. And she's watched every game so far. Every game.
Whether she knows it or not.
Every game. Lose or not. She's a Bears fan now.
She cries a little louder when they lose, but then she's giving a few smiles when they win. So that, London, he's getting it. But before we dive into it, and, we're super excited about it, we want to thank our sponsor, Stupid Car Tray. Tired of your pizza toppings sliding, office coffee distracting you while driving, grease and other stains getting on your seat, or you're just enjoying a game on the couch and don't want to lean over? Look no further than the Stupid Car Tray. Visit www.stupidcartray.com and use discount code J16 to get 16% off your entire order. Link in the description.
Stupid Car Tray saves the day, Nick. Listen, when Tivia are sitting on the couch watching the Bears the first 2 weeks, I have the Stupid Car Tray right next to me. I put her bottle in there. I stick my, of course, drink in there, all of our food, everything. If you're a dad, if you're anybody, go get a Stupid Car Tray while watching the Bears play the Browns, and make sure to use code JAY16 on checkout to get 16% off your entire order. Nick, big stuff today. Big news. Let's get into it.
Big news and big just thing want to clear up real fast. London, make sure that he doesn't give the wrong drink to Tivia. Just want to make sure that's clear.
She doesn't get the Michelob Ultra, no.
She does not get the Mickey Ultra. No, even though she is going to be like her father one day, she definitely does. Those days are a long ways to go. So let's just jump into quick news. Obviously, you guys heard the big news that came out earlier today. Justin Fields is officially the week 3 quarterback 1 for the Chicago Bears. Andy Dalton is out, but he will be the starter when healthy, according to Matt Nagy. That was the one thing from the press conference that just like took the wind out of everybody. Was just like, are you kidding me? Like, what if it's working? If it's not working, obviously Matt Nagy's also just kind of saving himself there that Andy Dalton will be the starter. But Andy Dalton's recovering from a bone bruise. We hope he has a speedy recovery. Andy Dalton was doing well for the Chicago Bears. He was doing well in the system. London and I are Andy Dalton fans, but it is Justin Fields' time. And London, you have a little bit of insider report that, the Bears weren't very off from their own prediction of when Justin Fields was going to start.
Yeah, Nick. This actually just came out, and I haven't even seen it on Twitter or anything, so we're just going to say that, JAY is breaking the official news. The front office of the Chicago Bears came out and said that no matter what happened with Andy Dalton, their projected time of starting Justin Fields was going to be week 4 against the Detroit Lions. Again, I know I picked week 5, which was close. You picked week 8, which was a little bit further, but still very close. It's crazy to me that, yes, it is a week before their scheduled time. But honestly, everybody out there who was tweaking out that Justin Fields, didn't start week 1, didn't start anything, was never going to play. Listen, they had a plan. Take a deep breath. We knew it was coming. Yeah, take a deep breath. They knew it was coming. But Andy Dalton, like you said, Nick, was playing well. This is a week before their scheduled time. But again, week 4 was the day that Justin Fields is going to take over Andy Dalton, whether or not. And like you saw last week with Andy Dalton on the sideline cheering him on, I think he knew that also.
Class act, by the way. Class act by
Amazing.
Andy Dalton, as always. If you hate that guy
Phenomenal.
still, and if you throw him under the bus, you need to take just a quick reality check that this, like, he's a Chicago Bear at the end of the day. You just support him. Like, I support Nick Foles, and he's still a Chicago Bear. Just want to throw that out there really fast. But really exciting to hear. And actually, Eric Kramer is the one who predicted week 4 on this podcast.
Yeah,
so
I
shout
saw
out to
that.
Eric
That was
Kramer.
crazy. Good for him.
Hey, listen, he knows the game. He knows the game. So let's go into injury. Let's go into injury update really fast this Wednesday morning. Mario Edward Jr. is back after serving his 2-game suspension given by the NFL. He will play this Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. Huge depth addition, even though Angelo Baxton has been doing a great job in his absence. So very excited to have him back. Eddie Goldman is ? Oh, or London. Eddie Goldman is, what is Eddie Goldman?
I'm actually pretty sure that as of right now, they are going to work him out right before the game starts, and he is scheduled to possibly play. They're going to reduce his snaps a little bit. So he is questionable currently at the moment, Nick. I just got that information right now, and I was trying to type it into our script really quick. But he is questionable. But they do think that by game time on Sunday, he will be at least getting some snaps, which is huge against this Browns team. So as of right now, I think he actually might be back. Maybe. Don't quote me.
So it's questionable. We're just going to put questionable in front of it. It's more like he sounds like he's 60-40. Okay, so you heard that here first at Jay, but just to make it clear, that is not official yet. So just want to put that out there. And then again, Andy Dalton is out this week against the Browns. Nick Foles will be QB2, and the Bears don't have a QB after that. So if something goes wrong with Justin Fields, Super Bowl MVP is back in for the Bears. Another thing is that the Bears tried out 3 running backs yesterday: Brian Hill, Wendell Smallwood, and Kristen Thompson. So this might be a sign Cohen's not coming back. That's kind of been a rumor that's been going around. You know, Khalil Herbert's doing a great job. Otherwise, I think the Bears are just trying to get like a feel for, you know, what the situation is. So more to come on that. Stay tuned. We just wanted to put that out there for you guys to know now. And here's where Chicago, and now let's start jumping into the whole Cleveland Browns Chicago Bears game. This is where each team ranks. Cleveland has the number 8 overall defense according to ESPN. They are 14th in passing. The Bears are also ranked defensively 14th in passing. It's going to be a good matchup. Rushing, Cleveland is 3rd. Chicago is 5th in rush defense. So it sounds like it's going to be another good matchup defensively and offensively with Cleveland's offense and Chicago's defenses on that side of the ball when they're on the field, respectfully. Now, the Cleveland defense is 14th overall. They have the 9th ranked rush defense, but Chicago has the 8th ranked rush offense. So then their pass defense is ranked 23rd. So not that good. Cleveland secondary has been struggling this year. Chicago has the 31st passing offense. But wait, out of 32. Overall, though, there was a lot of drops last week that Justin Field on deep balls to Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, a lot of drops. So the Bears would probably be ranked a little bit higher, be more of an even matchup. But also you got to understand that the LA Rams game, there wasn't much there either. So overall, it's pretty much within the same ballpark ranking wise. I think this is going to be a very good matchup. London does as well. So what to look for in the offenses? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, because obviously it's super exciting with Justin Fields coming back. Fields is playing, but here's what I'll start off this conversation because London, you know, kind of sees what I'm saying here. I think that it's going to be a really rough first drive for Justin Fields, potentially, you know, 3 and out with a punt. I hope I'm wrong. And the reason I say this, folks, he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. He's going against a very competitive defense. He saw a competitive defense against the LA Rams, but he didn't see it play after play after play. This is Justin Fields' game. Justin Fields is going to play a lot. He's going to get a lot of snaps, get a lot of reps, completely different. And then you have Myles Garrett on that side of the ball. But you do have a surprisingly good Chicago offensive line. We're going to get to that in a little bit. So I think he will rebound, use his legs a lot later in the game. He's going to get more comfortable. He's going to understand what Cleveland's throwing at him. And hopefully his receivers don't drop nearly as many balls, if any balls at all, this upcoming week, because that was absolutely ridiculous. London, what do you expect from Fields out of the gate for this offense?
Yeah, Nick, I'm going to kind of just elaborate and go off exactly what you were saying. I've been talking to a ton of non-Bears fans, people who are just, you know, fans of different teams in the AFC or, you know, just irrelevant teams that are not our rivals, not in our division, not worried about it. And I've been asking them, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this Bears offense? Like, am I misreading this or we misreading this, so on and so forth. And a lot of people keep coming back and saying, David Montgomery's the real deal. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
feed that man. And Justin Fields, when he, gets that time, and it's his time and he's ready, will sooner or later ball out. But you need to have that 1-2 punch of Justin Fields and David Montgomery. And they said that offense would be absolutely dynamic, especially with, Darnell Mooney and Allen Robinson and the rest. So I do expect Justin Fields to struggle a little bit. This game is going to come at him, and the dog pound is a very tough place to play. The fans are mean, they're loud, they're angry, and guess what? They want their Browns to be a Super Bowl contending team this year, okay? So it's going to be loud.
They don't have that very often. They don't have that very often.
But the best part is Justin Fields did play in Ohio. So he's going to have a lot of fans there, not just Bears fans, just a lot of fans in general from Ohio State and stuff like that. So the big thing that I'm expecting a lot of ground and pound. Okay. I do want to see our ability to use this kind of, read option plays, using Justin Fields' legs, but also taking a little bit of pressure off David Montgomery and making this Browns D-line second guess who they need to go after. Myles Garrett, who do you need to go after? Are you going to stop Monty, or are you going to stop Justin Fields? I think that puts a ton of pressure on a defense when you do that. So I expect a lot of ground and pound, a lot. The last thing I think, and this was something that we saw a little bit at the end of that game that we won against the Bengals, were a lot of mid to deep crossers. Darnell Mooney loves them. Allen Robinson loves them. Yes, there were some drops, yes, things happen, but deep crossers, I think, is just a route that Justin Fields is very comfortable with. And also these wide receivers are comfortable with. So I expect that. I expect a lot of deep crossers. I expect a ton of ground and pound in this offense. Like I said, everybody outside of the Bears in our division said, you base this offense around Justin Fields and David Montgomery, you got something special here. So I'm excited, but I expect him to struggle, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think you kind of started hitting on all your other points as well in regards to the offense. So, in regards to the deep balls, that's a totally big thing, especially with Marquise Goodwin. He's got to be more involved in this offense. He's got to be wide open. He is great for opening up, because if you get Marquise Goodwin as your threat, everyone's going to go against him. But then you have Darnell Mooney on the other side of the ball. Then you have Allen Robinson going up the middle. Overall, like you said, I think that what you should expect a lot to see, Matt Nagy wants to make Justin Fields' life easy, is getting Marquise Goodwin involved. He's a great role player for the Chicago Bears, kind of like Taylor Gabriel was a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But better.
But better. Fast,
and it's weird that
and taller.
Yeah, he's got open, and it's just like, I just feel like they need to feed him a little bit more. You know what I mean? I feel like he hasn't dropped anything fast.
He hasn't dropped anything yet. So good on Marquise Goodwin. And that's another thing, is that drop balls for the wide receivers, they need to stop this week. They have to. That killed the Bears, letting the game get close. And yes, there was issues with Justin Fields had the mistake interception. And I understand. I was mad at first. Rookie mistake, though. Completely understand. Get it next time. But there were some that were just like, Allen Robinson, you could have had 3 touchdowns on the day. Fantasy owners would have looked at you like a god. You would have taken over Devontae Adams. No, completely unacceptable by Allen Robinson. He also didn't really seem to care that much in his media press conference on Monday about that. So kind of keep an eye out for that with Allen Robinson's gameplay. But one thing I want to hit on really fast before we get into the defense, London, is our offensive line. Our offensive line, fun fact, has only given up 2 sacks this year. And we played 2 games. Sack in each game. And yes, we have had mobility at the quarterback position with Justin Fields and Andy Dalton under the radar. Some people are going to go, are you kidding me? No, Andy Dalton's got wheels. We don't care what you say. Like, he does. But you have Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. You were able to maintain Aaron Donald very well. You were able to maintain Leonard Floyd very well. But Myles Garrett is, top 3. And that's going to be scary from the edge. They're probably going to put him against Jason Peters. And no, Jason Peters is pancaking guys, Jason Peters has been fantastic so far this year. Under all the circumstances, round of applause for Jason Peters. Overall, I think that Myles Garrett is going to be the biggest threat to that side of the ball. So London, for having the top 2 tackles last week in Jermaine Ifedi and Jason Peters, and then our interior offensive line, I think they're going to have a huge impact on how this Cleveland game goes. What do you think?
100%. I mean, Myles Garrett's a game wrecker.
He is.
I can't even think of a different analogy for him. He is an absolute game wrecker, and he's young and he's huge, and he has the ability to come off the edge and honestly just ruin your entire game plan and just sit on your quarterback the entire day. Jason Peters is doing amazing. Like I said, way back, I said, hey, he's going to be like an Andrew Whitworth. He's going to come in. He's going to anchor the left side. It's going to be great. A lot of people were kind of out on him. Wow. He proved it against the Bengals. Not as good of a D-line, but still a very good D-line. And man, did he dominate. And also, Infedetti playing awesome.
Infetti.
I'm sorry. Jermaine, I apologize. On the edges on the right and left side, we were a little worried to start the season with, Jenkins going out, Larry kind of, here and not here. We came in, we brought Peters, we're just, it's so exciting. I'm sorry. I lost myself a little bit because I'm so excited that the problems on our offensive line are not coming from the edges anymore. Like, they're just not happening. And it's great.
It's not a thing.
It's great. And it's great watching our linemen actually pancake people. It's phenomenal.
You're cooking at Jason Peters' pancake house. That's all I got to say to that. But let's go to the defensive side of the ball really fast, just before we get into our 3 keys of the game coming up. No fly zone for Jaylon Johnson. I'm really happy you brought this up, London, because of the fact that he is like we've been saying, he could be a top 5 corner this year. Tayshaun Gibson said it himself. And guess what he's doing? He just won PPF Defensive Player of the Week last week. He is doing unbelievable so far. He had his first career interception last week. He had a couple pass deflections. Jaylon Johnson is the future of this defensive back unit. There's no doubt about that. And another thing that just came to life last week against Joe Mixon, just putting that out there, is our defensive line. Khalil Mack had a sack. Robert Quinn had a sack. Bilal Nichols had a sack. And then you had Roquan Smith who had a sack. 4 sacks in the game. 3 interceptions, 1 going to the house, couple pass deflections. The Bears defense looked back. I'm not saying they're back until they absolutely make havoc against the Cleveland Browns and the Bears, in theory, go 2-1. But, this defensive line can't lay off the gas pedal. They're going against a much better offensive line this week with the Cleveland Browns, and they need to get pressure on Baker Mayfield because, like you said, it's one of the top offensive lines in the NFL. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And, London, real quickly, before I hit on one thing that I want to call out with this defense, exactly where do you see the opportunity for this defense to make havoc with Baker Mayfield against an improved offensive line with the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I think the biggest part is you're going to have to bring an extra blitzer. Okay, I really like that scheme that they set up when Roquan Smith got that sack. Granted, he was all over the field playing out of his mind, had the pick 6. But when they brought him off the edge and on Khalil Mack's side and forced, those offensive linemen to either pick Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack, and then they didn't have enough for Roquan Smith, was a great scheme. I know, Kenny, if you're listening, I know people nano blitz on Madden with that all the time. So, Coach Desai was using the cheese, and I love that. And Roquan Smith coming off the edge. And so the biggest things that I'm looking for to get pressure is, this offensive line, these 5 guys up front for the Browns are probably the best offensive line, like left to right to left in the NFL right now. And they're going to cause issues in regards to getting pressure on them. So you have to bring more players. That puts pressure on your secondary, though. But again, I really loved what Coach Desai did. He flashed a little bit of great schemes on blitzes, got Roquan Smith free, so on and so forth. So I'm starting to trust his ability. And I know all the reports out there is that everybody else in the organization and the players are also. So bring pressure. Baker Mayfield will get shaken. He's not the greatest.
Yep. I think Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. There's no doubt about that, but how good he really is, I think he's been very fortunate with good receivers, a good offensive line, overall, but he struggles when OBJ is out. Jarvis Landry is also a big name that the Bears don't have to worry about this upcoming week. Just want to put that out there really fast. So one more thing is that no more silly defensive penalties anymore. I'm sick of it. Robert Quinn's unsportsmanlike contact was absolutely bullcrap. He is finally doing something for the Bears with 1.5 sacks, but he lost all that over a silly bump in with Joe Burrow. And a lot of people were like Burrow was acting, but if you look, Quinn kind of, put his shoulder into him a little bit. So just want to make that clear.
Didn't Alec Ogletree get one too?
That was against the Rams. Tayshaun Gibson Sr. Tayshaun Gibson Sr., a respected veteran, also got a taunting penalty, which I think is the softest thing in the NFL going on right now. Tom Brady said it. Listen to the GOAT. I think Roger Goodell needs to be like, pull that rule immediately. No one cares. Whoever cared about the taunting penalty was definitely some Karen whose son did it at a football game, and another Karen brought it up, and then the NFL got involved with it and all this other stuff. I'm over it. I'm over it. Let the men play. These are grown men. Yes, they need to set an example, but guess what? If your daughter ends up playing football in London, I want to see her clapping over someone's face after she pops them in the pads. All I got to say to that. So London, but now that we're going to go into it, we're going to go to our 3 keys to the game, 2-minute offensive drill. What are your top 3 keys to the game this upcoming week against Cleveland?
Yeah, so we hit on it a little bit. My top 3 are just in order from, I would say, best to worst is this. Jason Peters and Jermaine need to continue to absolutely dominate. Okay, they're somewhat becoming surprising stars for this offensive line. I am going to say this. James Daniels had a really tough game against the Bengals. There was 2 or 3 times that he got absolutely blown up, but thank God that these 2 guys are just tearing it up on the right and left side, and they're going to have to do that against Myles Garrett and this very good Browns defensive line so that we don't get pressure on a rookie quarterback named Justin Fields. My second one, real easy. Justin Fields is QB1. The biggest thing in regards to this, though, is he needs to have confidence and trust what he is seeing. There were a few times in the second half of that Bengals game where I felt like he kind of dropped back a little too far. He held the ball a tad bit. He did really, really well, but there were a few times that I feel like he just wasn't trusting his ability to throw and, just was backing up a little bit. And then the 2 ends, Jason Peters can't block a guy for 20 seconds. So trust what you're seeing out there, Justin. And this is another thing that we always do on Jay. He has the opportunity to take the keys from every single athlete in the city of Chicago and become the man of Chicago. Listen, Justin, if you ever watch this, the door is open, my friend. It is yours for the taking. We constantly do this with players on this channel. It's become a staple of ours for guys that get that opportunity. This is your time. Make your money, my friend. My last key to the game is with OBJ questionable on my fantasy team, tough, and Jarvis Landry is out. This team will not be able to throw the ball like they have. They have, I think, Austin Hooper at tight end, who's a very good tight end, David Njoku, and then after that, it's like Rashard Higgins and some other wide receivers. I expect them to feed Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt every single down and twice on third down. I mean, they're just going to feed these guys like crazy. So the key to that is not stopping the run. Okay. My key is I think we have a great run defense. We're going to be able to contain those guys. Just don't let these unknown wide receivers randomly beat us. Okay. Don't let some 3rd, 4th string wide receiver on the Browns get behind our secondary and beat us for a long pass. Cause that's the thing that's going to absolutely be the Achilles heel to this game if it happens. Nick, those are my 3 keys to the game. Let's get into yours.
I'm just going to make mine super quick and easy because you kind of hit on some of them. Allen Robinson needs to catch every single pass that's thrown at him this week. He had a TD last week. Great. Awesome. Fantastic. You could have had 3. He's not even on my fantasy team. It's the fact that the Chicago Bears team is only going to win if they score points and put them on the board. Allen Robinson cannot be a $20 million man next year and drop 2 easy touchdown passes. One of them was tough, but one of them was right in his breadbasket from Justin Fields. Number 2 is Matt Nagy and Bill Lazor have to include the tight end this week. That was something that was missing big time last week, especially in the red zone. Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham are big targets. They're athletic. They're talented. And, Jimmy Graham's a veteran. Cole Kmet's up on the rise. You need to get them more in there. And finally, the offensive line needs to continue to play like they have and contain this Cleveland defensive line. Myles Garrett will have a field day against the Bears, even with Justin Fields, because Myles Garrett is an absolute just insane athlete. So with that, I'm just going to go straight into my score prediction as well. I got the Bears winning 21-17. Optimistic, of course, as always. But if the O-line continues their stellar play, Justin Fields can do whatever he wants with the football. He's going to make bad passes under pressure. You give Justin Fields time, he's going to win you the game. London, score prediction.
17-13 Bears. I think it's going to be a lot of running on both sides for the teams. I think it's going to be a pretty good defensive game. The biggest thing I'm going to say is just, dual threat quarterbacks when they first come into the NFL, Lamar Jackson, all these other guys, Mike Vick, teams just can't really prep for those kind of guys. And so usually the first couple games, they absolutely dominate. I hope that happens for Justin. Best of luck to you, man. But I think it's going to be a very run heavy defensive game. So it's going to be low scoring. 17-13 Bears. We're always optimistic, Nick. Come on.
They're going to go undefeated. They're going to win.
They're going undefeated. They didn't even lose to the Rams week 1. I don't know what you're talking about.
They didn't. That was a preseason game. It was the 4th preseason game. That's all I got to say to that. But with that, Thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. Happy to have London back. He will be back on Friday. We have an alternate schedule going for him over the next couple months. So just stay tuned for that. A lot of special guests coming on, and we're very excited to have London back and a new member of the Chicago Bears fan base. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside London Beth, and we will see you guys next time.